I'm DJ Graish, and in tonight's live stream I'm going to show you how to put together a 140 jungle tune. So it's basically a very similar process to making normal jungle, but we're going to be making it at a slower tempo. So I hope you've all had an amazing Christmas, and I hope you're having a relaxing period between Christmas and New Year. So let me know if you can see me, let me know if you can hear me, and let me know if you can see Ableton live. Shout out Japes in the chat. Hope you're having a good one, mate. Amazing, thank you. Good to hear that you can see me and you can hear me. And by the way, guys, if you've ever noticed that there's a little bit of a delay from hearing me to seeing my lips move on this kind of full screen view, the reason is because I've got my proper camera connected to the computer via this HD capture card, and basically the one I've got is a cheap one off Amazon, and I need to get the better quality one, which is called the Elgato Cam Link. So basically, very soon I'll be getting the Cam Link and there won't be a delay anymore, and going into 2026 everything will be synced up perfectly. Shout out David, thank you, man. So what I usually do is just let this whole tune play and then just start after that. So what's everyone been up to for Christmas and Boxing Day? Shout out Future World Machines. So I was round at my brother's house on Christmas Day. We had a nice one, and then Boxing Day was very chilled, but I did end up doing some video editing in the evening. And just been chilling a lot. It's been really good. Barcelona is very rainy. For over the Christmas period there was 4 days where, you know, on the weather app it tells you the percentage of how likely it is it's going to rain. It was 100% for 4 days in a row. So yeah, basically just been a wet Christmas. So that one's called Side Quest, and as I always say, if you want to know how I made it, just go to the tutorial. And it's called how to make an orchestral drum and bass tune. So here we are with a brand new Ableton Live project, and the first thing I'm going to do is change the BPM. Now I know it said 140 jungle in the thumbnail and that, but we are going to be making it slightly faster at 143 BPM. So the next thing I'm going to do is just go into the browser and have a look for a break. So I've got the hot pants break here, and if I just loop that, it sounds like this. Let me just turn it down a tiny bit, actually. So in previous jungle tutorials, I've showed you how to chop it up in MIDI. I've showed you how to chop it up in audio. Basically, what I usually do is put it on an eighth. So if you right click and put your grid to 1/8, you can just see the different slices there. And if you want to, you can slice it every single one by pressing Command and E, and then you can just use your right arrow on your keyboard, Command and E, just keep pressing right and doing that. But in this case, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to cut it where I need to cut it instead of slicing up every single slice. Shout out Aaron303, shout out DJ Fully Loaded. So I think I'm just going to go for this basic pattern like this. Let me just turn up my headphones a bit. So I'm going to go with this basic pattern, and then what we're going to do is chop it up further a bit later and like put some extra bits in and stuff. But for now I'm just going to do it like that. So I'm just going to turn these down a bit further just to sort of manage the levels. And now I'm going to go looking for an amen break. So for the beginners who don't know what these breaks are, basically it's just part of a tune, an old school funk tune. And in some time around 2/3 of the way through, they often just give a little break where there's just the drummer doing a solo by themselves, right? So you can sample that, and then you've got some really nice funky drums. And you can use them to make jungle, chop them up, pitch them up, do all sorts of different tricks with them. So if we go into all CD quality famous breaks and the amen breaks, and I'm going to go for, use this one, and I'll turn that down by quite a bit. And I'm just going to do the same pattern that I did before, which was sort of just copy that first bit and paste it there, and then duplicate this whole bit, and it sounds like this. And you can see there's the culprit. I could hear there was a little click, and if you zoom right in, you can see it there. So I'm going to fix that. So what I'm going to do to fix that is double click into it, and here's the clip view, and then if we go to the end of it here, there you'll see the culprit. And one thing you can do is just double click to put a warp marker there, double click to put another warp marker, and then just move that one off the end of the clip there. So I'm just going to adjust the levels. And actually in this tune I want the hot pants break to be the main break, and the amen is the sort of secondary break. So what I'm going to do is go into audio effects and just get the EQ8 and take out a bit of the low end. And that way we're using the hot pants kick as the main kick. Now, when it comes to making bass lines, a lot of the time you are going to have basically a sub bass and then a mid bass. And the job of the mid bass is to make sure that people on smaller speakers are going to be able to hear the bass, right? Because small speakers can't reproduce heavy sub bass frequencies, but they can reproduce sort of lower mids. So the idea is to include some lower mid in your bass line, and then everybody will be able to hear it. And obviously the people that do have good speakers will be able to hear the mid bass and then this extra one underneath. So to sort that out, there's something called a Reese bass. And what a Reese bass is, it's a classic style of bass that first came about in the 80s and 90s. And I'm going to play... You'll definitely recognize it, but it sounds like this. Alright, that's too high. So it sounds like that. And I did make a tutorial all about Reese basses. Well, it's kind of like an a bit of information about what a Reese is and where it came from, and the first people to sample it and stuff in Jungle. And that video is there on my channel if you're interested in seeing it. Alright, so let me turn this down a bit. Right, so I'll record in some notes and then maybe I'll mess with the sound after that. Right, let me do that one more time. And again. The thing is that this particular Reese has got this glide on it and I don't want the glide, so in fact I can just turn that off. So let's record again. And let's have a look at the MIDI notes I've recorded. So by the way, I wasn't using a proper MIDI keyboard there. I was just using the actual computer keyboard. And there's this little symbol in the top right here, and if you turn that on, that allows you to use your computer keyboard as a MIDI keyboard, which is pretty handy for if you don't have one, or if you basically don't have the desk space to always be setting it up. You can still record some bits into Ableton Live and still kind of play it like an instrument rather than clicking, you know? So you can see I've recorded 3 notes. They're all sort of coming after the grid, which is what I want, but I'm just making sure it's the right amount. Now this Reese bass, it's a basic one, and you do have some controls here. But one thing that I feel like I want to do with it is dirty it up with some distortion. So what I'm going to do is go into audio effects, and I'm going to get this. This is the guitar amp. So for the people who've never used this before, basically it's a built-in effect from Ableton Live which simulates guitar amps, so you can actually play guitar through this and it'll sound like different amps. And for the people who aren't guitarists out there who don't recognize some of the, you know, the graphics here, this one that's written blues is actually a Fender amp. All right, so that's like emulating a Fender amplifier. And then if we click on rock, you'll see that this one, it's got basically the rock is written in the font of Marshall. So it's supposed to be mimicking how a Marshall amplifier would affect your guitar tone. And then if we keep going, you've got these ones here which are like American heavy metal type amps. And then you've got one that simulates a bass amp as well. And then over here you've got this one which is like the classic Vox AC30. And then there's a clean version of that as well. So if you didn't know, you've basically got a Vox AC30, a Fender amp, and a Marshall, and these heavy metal amps all built into Ableton Live. So let's hear how the Reese bass sounds with some guitar amp on it. Pretty heavy, as you can hear. So I think I'm going to need to dial that back a bit. And I'm just going to EQ it as well. And do you remember me saying about there's a couple of different styles of bass, sub bass and mid bass? Well, obviously this one is our mid bass. So you might have noticed when I added the guitar amp, all of the super low end disappeared, but it doesn't really matter because we are going to be putting all of that back in with our next instrument. So for this one, basically the way how these waveforms work is if you've got a sine wave, it does produce a very pure and clean sub. So what you can do is look for a sine wave, or you can get a synth and like set it to sine wave. And there's this one called basic subsine. So if you just put that in, and it's actually going to be using the same notes as the Reese. So what I'm going to do is cheekily just grab that clip and hold down Alt and drag the clip to the next track. And I'm just going to solo this and see how it sounds. Very heavy, and I'm sorry if that's just distorted anyone's speakers or headphones, but that's how it sounds. So you can use this volume control here to turn it down a bit. And there is also these options for distort and overtone. So I'll just turn them up a bit. I'll also turn up the attack just a little bit to get rid of any click at the beginning. Now let's layer that with the Reese. And what I really want is for that to be layered underneath but not overpowering. And it's kind of difficult with the headphones that I wear for these streams. They're great for streaming because I can really hear myself well. They're open back headphones, so you've got this grill that basically allows me to hear my own voice when I'm talking, which is amazing, but they aren't exactly the bassiest headphones. So when it comes to making a sub bass with these headphones on, it's guesswork. I just have to guess whether I'm getting it loud enough or too loud, and then I'll check it later. So apologies if I ever make my sub basses way too loud on the stream. And don't forget that the amplifier, by default, it's on mono. And obviously when you plug in an electric guitar, it's a mono signal. So you see why they've done that. But obviously we're not using it with a guitar. We're using it with a Reese bass, which is in stereo. And now you can put it to stereo. And speaking of stereo, you can use a stereo widener to make it sound even more stereo. So I've got one called the Isotope Ozone Imager. So I'm just going to put that on there. Shout out Jam Shahid in the chat. So this is what the Ozone Imager looks like. And you can see this scope that allows you to see how stereo it is. And you can see that this one is already flying all over the place. But just to demonstrate what this does, if you press stereoize, and you can create these bands, but if you don't create any bands, it's basically all just one big band. And then you can turn up the widen, and you'll see that it's flying around left to right even more now. Alright, so let's add something else. So I'm going to go into my samples and let's have a look for something else that I can add to this. So I could try the echoes of light. So I was showing you in a previous one, if you want to really quickly put one of these samples into the simpler, the fastest way to do it is press Shift, Command and T to create a new MIDI track and then double click the sample. Straight away you've got a simpler, you've got the sample in it, and then you can just literally play it on this keyboard. Alright, so I want to put them slightly after the line, but not really far back, so something like that. Alright, so let's add some effects. I think the first thing this needs is some EQ to take out the bottom. Maybe some chorus. Maybe some hybrid reverb. Should the delay go before or after the chorus? We'll go for after. Alright, so when it comes to using the simpler, don't forget that the simpler has this built-in filter. So if you feel like something has too much top end, you can always just change this filter. So for example, it's already on a low pass filter and it's literally already turned on. So all you have to do is turn this knob down. So I want some kind of synth to do the lead with. Just type in synth. Alright, let me have another try at that. See what it sounds like at 170. Here we go. Let's just have it with Reese and subsine first of all. Not bad. You know, didn't sound messed up. Alright, here comes the basic melody. So there you go, it works. And many a tune starts off at one tempo and ends up at another, but for now, since the thumbnail and title says 140 BPM, I've got to stick with that. So anyway, I know the basic synth flute sounds a bit basic, but we can do stuff to it to make it more interesting. For example, before I was showing you the guitar amp, so let's throw that on it. And I didn't realise it had such a heavy top end. Okay. Right, I want to crash. Let's go into the 0G data files and get an old school jungle crash. And one thing I want to do is make sure that's not warped and turn it down by quite a bit. And also watch out when you're using these old school 0G data files. Almost all of them have this gap at the beginning, which caught me out the other week really badly when I was using the push. And I was wondering why, no matter what I do, why can't I play it in time? And why is it always sounding weird and off? And it turns out it's because I was playing a simpler with a sample that had a big gap at the beginning of it. So always check that. Alright, so what do you put on a crash? Well, here's what I would put on it. First of all, you might want to see if there's any sub bass in there, because needless to say, a crash is supposed to be a high frequency sound. And you can actually see that right at the bottom there is some sub bass in there. Now, a lot of the time you want to just like use your ears and see if that's actually interfering with anything. But in this case, I do want this to be just occupying top frequencies. Another thing you can do is throw a delay on there with quite with the wet and dry value quite low. So it could be. Now I'm making bits for the intro, bits for the drop, bits for this and that, and right now they're all playing at the same time, so obviously, you know, it might end up sounding crowded, but don't worry, because when it comes to doing the arrangement, I'll spread everything out. So, next thing I'm going to grab is the think break, because at the beginning of the think break, there is actually a extra bit. Where's the best place to get it from? Classic break pack. So here's one called Think 3 Tambs, and basically what it is apart from the main think break parts, you also have this extra bit which is just a load of tambourines, and it sounds like this. So what I want to do is make a loop out of it. So I'm just going to turn off the grid. So maybe starting from here. Actually, no, because during that you can still hear a bit of that thing in the background. So I'll have to start from here. Maybe to here. Or is that too short? Let's have a look. So if I put that, let me just put the grid back on. So what I'm going to do is turn warping on and then just grab the end, hold shift and put it to there. Let's see how this sounds. And you can put the warping to repitch. Then it's going to be very high pitch. Let's hear how this sounds with the rest of everything else. Now I'm not on about this playing at the same time as the breaks, so don't worry about that. So let's turn off the breaks. And talking about this being as part of the intro, you know, so I'll get rid of the bass too. And is it going to be best in repitch or is it going to be best in complex? And you know what I'm going to do to cheat a bit? I'm going to take several things from the crash track and just drag them across. So we've got the EQ8, we've got the hybrid reverb. I might as well just drag the delay over as well and see how it sounds with all three. Oops. Don't know if you could hear that crackle. Hope not. Anyway. Don't forget to save your work, so I'm going to call this Sophisticated Move 2. And I'm going to tell you why it's called Sophisticated Move in a bit. So anyway, we need to choose how much of a intro we want. Is it going to be 16 bars, 32 bars? So 16 bars is only less than 30 seconds. Perhaps a bit short. 32 bars is roughly just under a minute, which in today's modern world with everybody's attention span, I think just under a minute could be a good intro length. Merry Christmas, Jason Story. So just to recap, what we started off with is the hot pants break, and it sounds like this. Then I added the amen. We got the respace. We've got a sub bass. Then we've got lush warble. We've got a very basic synth flute. We've also got a crash, and we've got the think break shaker. So I think probably the best thing to start it off with is the crash, the shaker, and where's the crash gone? Okay. Crash, the shaker, and the lush warble. So what I'm going to do is highlight it all, but then hold down Command and click the crash, so that's no longer part of what I'm copying. And just press Command and D loads of times. How's everyone been then? So how's your Christmas been? How's your Boxing Day been? And by the way, let me know what you call Boxing Day in your part of the world, because some people call it St. Stephen's. Some people call it, I don't know, is there any other names for it? We call it Boxing Day. Some people just call it the 26th of December and they don't even do anything or even have the day off work. Nice one, Future World Machines. Yeah, I'm putting this together quite quickly, so hopefully, with a bit of luck, I might be able to get pretty far with it in the allocated time that we have, which is usually 2 hours. So after a good 16 bars, this is where the basic synth comes in, okay? Just sort of hashing out the, what's it called? The arrangement. Things can move, things can change, but basically, usually if you've got a 32 bar intro, then you could say it's split into 2 16s, right? I knew in Ireland that it's St. Stephen's Day, and I think it might be called Dia de San Esteban here as well. And for people that didn't know, in Barcelona, well, Barcelona is in like a autonomous region of Spain called Catalonia, and in Catalonia they do this thing called the Three Magic Kings, and it's on the 6th of January. And that's basically their main Christmas. So they do a little bit of celebrating on the 24th of December. And then they have this big gap. And then right after, after New Year, 6 days into the New Year, they have this day when they finally get their presents. So we're basically in limbo until then, And for me, as an Englishman living here, for me it's like Christmas is over, and then it's New Year, and then that's over, and then usually by the 2nd or 3rd day of the year, you basically want to get back to it and do something productive. But here it's like, we're still on the holidays. We're still celebrating Christmas. We have to wait till the 7th of January to actually get any work done. But I'm not complaining. I love the Magic Kings Day. I think it's amazing. And they arrive by boat here in Barcelona, and apparently they come from Ibiza. And they come over and they land here in Barcelona, get off the boat, get on the back of something that parades the streets, and all the kids love it. Yeah, I know. It needs to do something else. It's just looping over and over again. And maybe this could be a lower one. And then it just does 3. Anyway, I'm finally going to tell you why I decided to call this tune Sophisticated Move. And to be honest with you, I sampled this from the internet today, and I would love to show you the whole sampling process, but it kind of involves changing sound cards, and I'm always worried that you're not going to be able to hear my mic anymore, and it's all going to get messed up, and it could end up, jeopardizing the stream. So instead of all that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in the audio, and I'm going to tell you what I did, okay? So there's this tool called Black Hole, and what it is if I go to my sound settings in the top right here, and if you look at the different options I've got here, you'll see that I've got like my computer speakers. I can make the sound come out of my computer monitor if I wanted to. Then we've got my actual interface, and then the fourth option down is Black Hole 2 channel. So what Black Hole is, it's an app, but it basically acts like a sound card or an interface, and you can choose it, right? You can choose it. So if I click Black Hole 2 channels now, and then I go to YouTube, then instead of the YouTube audio just coming out of my interface and out of my speakers, it will be routed to this special virtual sound card. And then if you go into Ableton sound settings, you can choose your input device, and we've got basically the same list as before, and one of them is Black Hole 2 channels. So you select that as your input device, and then basically all you have to do is press play on the YouTube video and press record on Ableton, and then you can record anything from anywhere in the internet. And just make sure, as a little disclaimer, I just want to say, if you're going to use the technique I just suggested, make sure you are recording things that you own the copyright to. All right, so I have recorded something, and it's a kind of here's one I made earlier sort of scenario, because what's this tune called? Sophisticated Move. So basically I'm going into the project, Sophisticated Move, and I'm going to go to here. You've basically got those, just to let you in on a little behind the curtain. I already made the tune before, and here's all the tracks of it, and you see you've got this vocal here. All right, so I'm just going to drag that in. So now Future World Machines, you know why I'm moving quick, because I had a little practice. Anyway, here's the vocal, and here's what I sampled from the internet earlier today. In fact, you know what? I'm going to turn off the effects first of all, so you hear it in its rawest form. So let's get rid of all this. And it sounds like this.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move you shoot down every move. So second, right?
So you've got that, and then you've also got this one.
Rewind. One more time. Rewind. One more time.
So here's the first bit again.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move you shoot down every move. So second, right? Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move you shoot down every move. So second, right?
So now I'm wondering if I really want my intro to be 32 bars long. Anyway, here's a little review of what we've done so far. Let me just put this note further down.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move you shoot down every move. So second, right?
All right. You know what? It's gonna be one of these. So by the way, guys, you know when you press Control and X on Windows or Command and X on a Mac and it's cut, right? To cut stuff. Did you know that you can press Shift Command and X to cut stuff, but not only it'll cut the clips, it will actually cut the whole time out of the timeline. So watch this. Shift, Command and X. Now 8 bars of the timeline have just disappeared, you know? And I'm going to do the same with these 8 bars here. Shift, Command and X. They've gone. And now, essentially what I've done is I've just cut my intro down to 16 bars. But all the crashes have remained in the right place, etc. So let's have a listen.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second, right?
Alright, so it's taking shape now. Future World Machine says, I've got a VST called Web Sampler. You sample anything on the internet with that too, as long as you've got permission from the copyright holder.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second.
Let's do a little classic reverse crash here.
Right. Right.
And then maybe it should be dug dug, as in a double kick at the beginning of this one here. And also, by the way, guys, you know the Amen break, it's always got, most of the parts of it have this double kick at the beginning. So it goes kick, kick, snare. Well, if you ever feel like that gets a bit too much and you're sick of all that kick, kick, snare business, there is another one that goes... Where is it? So you hear that right at the beginning of this part, you've got this kick, ride, snare business. Wait a sec. Let's just make sure these are matched in volume before I go any further. So that one was minus 10.3. So if I just put this one to minus 10.3. All right. Now, what I'm talking about here is this last bit here. Wait. You hear that slice there? It's just a ride by itself, so what you can do is get that, and let's just make sure it's actually tidy. Maybe I should like stretch it a little bit. I'm originally, so shout out username, I was originally born in England. Well, I spent my first 20 years in northwest England, but I moved to Spain. So listen to the Amen now. Actually, you know what? This was supposed to be let's get rid of that one. We'll do that again after. So here's the Amen break, and as I was going on, it starts off with a kick, kick, snare. It starts off like this. Right? Kick, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare. Now what about if I paste this ride here? Now it does a kick, ride, snare, you know? So you don't have to replace every second kick with a ride, but maybe every other one. Wait, and then this one shouldn't be, because obviously I've just made that a double kick.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second. Right. Right. Every move. So second. Right.
So before I duplicated the Amen, in fact, you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to do a little bit of renaming and tidying up. Hot Pants, Amen, Reese, Sub, Lush Warble. I'm going to keep that as Lush Warble. Melody. Then we've got Normal Crash, Rev Crash, Think Shaker, and I'll keep that one called Vocal for now. So before I was going on, before I basically duplicated this Amen channel and then deleted again. Why? Because I wanted this Amen channel to be a filtered break. So in fact, I'm actually going to... Wait, what? My mouse just clicked by itself. So I'm going to rename this one as Filtered Break. Filtered Amen, okay? Let me just Command and X to cut everything. And this one's going to be in the intro. And it's going to do the cliche. And if you've never seen this before, basically what you do is you go to audio effects and get the auto filter, put that on there, and you can either put it onto a band pass or a high pass and just do a bit of filtering on the break in the beginning. So this sort of teases the break so people get to hear it and feel the rhythm, but it's not going to give them the impact of the drop. Let's record it. So to record automation, one little tip I want to give you is to make sure that you don't have any of these little red record arm buttons clicked. If you do, you're going to be recording new clips, and you don't want new clips. All you want is some automation. So get rid of that. Make sure none of them are red. And also make sure the little link button at the top is linked. Someone told me they're called breakpoints. So that button there, it's got 2 breakpoints and it represents automation. All right. So when I press record and start moving the frequency knob, it's essentially going to record everything I do. So wish me luck. So I went right up at the end, and it's sort of taking it into that high frequency area, and then 8 bars in, you get the Think Shaker, which is pure high frequency, so it kind of leads into that, you know. And I could even bring this, I could even do the old reverse crash there as well. So it goes like this.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down.
And by the way, I turned off all the effects from the vocal just to show it you in its raw form. But let me turn these back on. We've got an EQ taking out any bass. We've got a delay which is on quite a low wet and dry. So that's 19%. And then we've got the hybrid reverb. And altogether it sounds like this.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second. Right. Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every.
So when he's talking, I'm going to do a special version of the melody.
Here come the more sophisticated.
I'm gonna cut bits out.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move. Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second, right? Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second, right?
And don't forget our other little vocal. Goes like this.
Rewind. One more time.
So obviously that won't come now, it'll come later. So it goes like this. But do we want the crash? So by the way, I recorded the automation when I wasn't in automation mode, so you couldn't see the red line. But for anyone who's interested what I actually did, it's that red line there. So that just moves that filter frequency knob on the auto filter, and it looks like this. So watch carefully this frequency knob and this graphic here as this red line moves, okay?
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second, right?
I don't know if you heard that, but someone was dinging a bicycle bell and it went really well with it. I was like, is that on the tune? Maybe I should find a bike bell sample.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second, right?
Hang on. On the fourth one, I'm going to make it go doo-doo. So here. And I'll do the same with the sub bass. In fact, I can just drag that MIDI clip down to the sub bass layer. So now it sounds like this. So that's the fourth one of each. In fact, I might as well do this. Join them all together. So select the four, Command and J, join it together. select the 4, Command and J, join it together. Now, just to differentiate, because one of these is the Reese, one of them's the sub, so I should actually call that sub. And I could even give it a different colour if I want to. So just to, so you know the difference, right? And then in the next section, the Reese goes away, but the sub carries on. And then the warble joins it. Yeah, how it goes up on the last one. The question is, so when he's saying rewind, what should be there? Sub and the warble. And in this case, it's sub and Reese. Rewind. I might make one more kick happen here. Same with the amen. So what about if there's just like the kick, a little bit of sub, a little bit of Reese, just for this first hit, and it goes like this. Let's hear it.
Rewind one more time.
So username, I cheated and used an Ableton Reese. So all you have to do is type in Reese here, R-E-E-S-E, go to instruments. You've got a load there, and I used the Reese Classic, but I did personalize it by putting a guitar amplifier after it for this insanely dirty sound, but then I filtered it as well. But what that gives me the opportunity to do is, listen to this. You can just choose number 3 here and then automate this frequency. Essentially, you can use this low pass frequency here to introduce a bit more dirt, and you could do that like if there's a 16 bar section, and then towards the end you can sort of open that up and it gets dirtier towards, and then obviously it suddenly cuts out and he goes rewind one more time.
Rewind one more time.
Maybe I'll do some of that EQ into the lush warble as well. I was saying username. I was saying at the beginning of the stream, by the way, I made a YouTube video about the Reese bass, and I was, going on about Kevin Saunderson, which is the guy who originally made a tune, who Ray Keith sampled for Terrorist. And that was basically the introduction to the Reese bass in jungle music. I made a video all about that. I sampled Kevin Saunderson. I sampled the Terrorist Reese. I made one myself in Wavetable Synth. So if you're interested in the Reese bass video, you can find it on my channel. And I tell you how to make your own. But you can also just type in Reese into the browser here, get the Ableton Reese, and then you can personalize it yourself by tweaking the settings, adding effects, and in my case, running it through a virtual guitar amplifier. Somehow I've accidentally automated this sub to turn on and off. That's a bit weird. If you ever see automation on something that you never put there and you never wanted, all you have to do is right click that thing and just go delete automation like that. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, please make sure you click the like button and like this stream. That way YouTube will push it out to more people and more people can join us in the chat. And something I always forget to tell you is that basically this project folder is going to be available on my Patreon. So if you like this tune and you want to be able to tinker with it and mess about with all the different instruments and all the different tracks and everything, all you have to do is become a Patreon of this channel by going to patreon.com/Graish, and then you can download this project file and have a mess about with it. You'll also be really helping me out and helping the channel out, so consider becoming a patron.
Here come the most sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second, right?
Thought that was sounding dry as hell. The melody didn't even have any reverb on it.
They move their shoe down every move. So second, right?
You're welcome, username. Glad I could help. And if you guys ever make a 140 jungle tune, or you ever make any of this style of music or any style of music after learning from my tutorials, please reach out and send me a link, because I'd love to hear what you come up with.
Rewind.
One more time. Right, so on second thoughts, it sounds a bit ridiculous when everything cuts out, so perhaps,
Rewind.
or at least it should go duh, and then just cut off the last note, do you know what I mean? So it should do that. Duh. One more time.
Rewind. One more time.
And then there can be the reverse crash, so that it's not sounding quite as empty when he's saying one more time, you know? So that goes there.
Rewind. One more time.
You could also tune the one more time to a low. So what do you mean by that? Do you mean like pitch it down? Like
one more time.
Alright, so that's -3.
One more time.
And then if you wanted to hear it on -5.
One more time.
Probably -3 is better. You know what else I can do? So, you guys may or may not know this, but basically back in the jungle days, when they time stretched something, the technology wasn't as good as today, and it would basically split it up into all these little pieces and then stretch it out, and it'd come up with that effect, which you've almost certainly heard in a million old school jungle tunes, where it goes, you know what I mean? So in order to do that in Ableton, there is a way of doing it, and they've provided you with this old school time stretching algorithm, which I'm going to demonstrate now. So on this one, I'll get rid of the one more time and we'll just stretch out the rewind, okay? So one thing you need to do is just make sure that warp is turned on, and then you can just grab the end of it and hold down shift to be able to time stretch it, but also hold down command to temporarily turn off the grid. So now you can just freely time stretch it as long as you want, like that. When you're happy with the length, just go to warp and put it onto textures. Turn down the grain size to maybe around 28, and let's have a listen.
Rewind.
Classic, right? So we've basically got all three styles of vocal on one channel. The first one is where he's going on about the, what is it he says? Sophisticated move.
Here come the more sophisticated move.
So that should be on its own channel. And then we've got rewind.
Rewind.
And then we've got time stretched rewind.
Rewind.
So those are three different sounds. They basically should be all on their own channels. So what I'm going to do is this. This is how you quickly put stuff on their own channel while keeping all of the effects and everything, right? All you do is duplicate it twice. So now you've got vocal, 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 right? On the first one, I'm going to delete the second two things. Let me just get out of automation mode. On the top track, I'm going to delete the last two things. On the middle track, I'm going to delete the first and last things. On the last track, I'm going to delete the first two things. So now you've got them all on separate tracks, and it took us, 30 seconds. So we can call this sophisticated. Sophisticated move. We can call this one rewind one more time. And then third one, could call it time stretched. 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 Rewind. Okay? And that's how you put stuff on their own channel in record timing. And then what you can do is, since they're all vocal samples, I'm going to highlight. So it's time to put stuff in the groups and do the tidying up, which I usually do. So let's go through top to bottom. So we've got drums, drums, drums. Is there anything else that's drums? The Think Shaker is drums. And then we've also got crash and rev crash, which are drums. So all of that together becomes our drums group. I'm going to click the top one, hold down shift, click the rev crash, and all of that gets grouped together with a command and G, control and G if you're on Windows. And then it's command and R, control and R to rename. Just type in drums. I like to use capitals for groups. And then we've got, hang on a minute, where's the Reese gone? It appears we've had a casualty, I know it's there. The Reese accidentally ended up in the drums group, but that's easy to fix. All you do is just drag it back out of the group and put it down here. Now, sub and Reese are both basses, so all we do is click sub, hold down shift, click Reese, command and G, command and R to rename it, and type bass in capital letters. And by the way, it's control and R to rename on Windows, okay? Then lush, warble, melody, they are both instruments, so I'm going to put them in their own instruments group. Instrum is what I call it. And then we've got these ones, they're all vocals, so I'm going to group it. I'm going to call it vocals, and that's that. So it all sounds exactly the same, but it is a little bit more organized. And as your project builds up, you'll know that if you're looking for a specific track and it happens to be a drum, well, you look in your drums group. Aaron303 says he'd love to see a mastering tutorial. let's have a look at this. Okay, I've already EQ'd it.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second, right?
The cool thing about this sample is that it's already got that sort of dub siren thing. It's almost like it's done the build-up tune, the build-up to the drop for us.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second, right?
Big up E.E. Wilson in the building. Been getting hammered over Christmas. So this is a style of music that I've been making for a long time. Never really known what to call it.
One more time.
And shout out Jam Shahid for the suggestion of pitching down the one more time, because it does actually sound really cool.
Rewind. One more time.
E.E. Wilson, I want to just give you a massive special thank you for being here almost every stream of this year. I really appreciate all of you guys turning up on a weekly basis. And shout out Ben, late but still great.
Rewind. One more time.
I'll rewind it one more time just for you, Ben. And actually, I have to say that Ben was definitely an inspiration of why I did a slower tempo today, because he's been posting some amazing breaks music in the Graish Nation Discord server. And if anyone wants to join the Graish Nation Discord server, you know, I need to share the link, but what I'll do is I'll play the tune. I'll just quickly share the link, all right?
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second, right?
Alright, so if any of you guys use Discord, I really would love it if you could come and join us in the Discord server. So far we've got like...
One more time.
So far there's probably about 25 people all in there sharing tips, feedback, where to get like cheap sample packs and plugins and all this stuff, you know. It's a great place to chill and... And Ben is an absolute seasoned producer who's been posting some amazing breakbeat music in there. And if you want to hear some of it, come and join the Discord. The link is in the chat right now. And I will also put it in the description of this video. So if any of you guys are watching this back at a later stage, it should be in the description as well.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second, right?
So one thing I'm not really happy with is that basically the synth flute is clashing with his vocal. And there's a couple of ways you can sort that out. One of them is to try to EQ stuff so they're not clashing anymore. Another way is just to arrange it better.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second.
Another way is just to see if it sounds better with the melody a bit quieter.
Here come the more sophisticated move. Them move that shoot down every move. So second, right?
So as I was saying, if you want to download the project folder, it will be on my Patreon later. I just need to
Rewind one more time.
As well as rewinding, I just need to do a little bit more work on it and then upload it after the stream. But shortly after the stream it'll be available. All you have to do is become a patron and you will be able to download it, have a mess about with it, remix it, do whatever you want. And if you do become a patron of the channel or a channel member, I really appreciate it. And what's going to happen if you guys do become a channel member or a patron of the channel, you already know what I'm going to spend the money on. And basically I was saying it at the beginning of the stream that you may have noticed that when I'm speaking on these streams, it looks pretty good, but unfortunately my voice comes slightly before my lips moving on the video, right? And the reason is because I'm using an HDMI capture card that introduces latency. Now I know how to fix this and I need to buy a new one, but it is £100, so I'm going to be investing £100 into the stream, and any help covering that cost is greatly appreciated.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second. Right.
Maybe try a spin back, yeah. That was definitely on the cards from the beginning, you know.
Rewind.
It needs a rewind before he says, or as he says rewind. So let's have a look what rewinds we've got in here. This one could work.
Rewind. One more time. Rewind. One more time. Rewind. One more time.
And there's this technique called repurposing content. And basically what it means is you may notice on other YouTube channels that basically they release videos throughout the week that all comes from their main podcast. So they'll do some podcasts for like 2 hours and then they'll take little snippets from it and then upload those as normal YouTube videos and shorts, and they'll even take them for like TikTok and Instagram stories and all the rest of it. So that's something called repurposing content, and I've been researching obviously how to do YouTube and stuff, and I think going into 2026 one thing I need to start doing is that, so that I can take content from these live streams and then make little videos out of it. And one thing I need to do in order to make that happen is make sure that my make sure my video and audio are synced better, you know. So once I can do that, then I will be able to repurpose. And I'm so sick of that fly. It's been flying around for over an hour now. So yeah, where was I?
Rewind. One more time.
All right, Ben, you can claim credit for the rewind. I did think about it myself, but you were the one who vocalized it, so there you go. How about this one? So there you go, it fits right in. Just wonder whether had you seen that fly buzzing around? I guess you can only see it when I'm full screen. But yeah, it's been, I feel like honestly, flies, they know what they're doing. They land on your arm. You shoo it away, and then literally less than 10 seconds, it's landed straight back in the same spot. They know what they're doing. They wind you up on purpose.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second. Right.
You know, that fly is stopping me from repurposing content. So I was going on about automating that EQ that's on the Reese. This one here.
Here come the
You see what I mean? Alright, let's do that. Where were we? Hang on. EQ8. Did it not record it? One more time. Should he have a delay on saying one more time?
One more time.
Right, so Ganja Rewind. Should it really have sub bass in it? No. That's why I'm going to EQ it out. So let's have a look, just out of curiosity, how much sub bass was in the Ganja Rewind? Quite a lot. Maybe it'd sound better if it's like this. Wait, so it sounds like this.
Rewind. One more time.
Right, I've taken out too much bass now. Be careful.
Rewind. One more time.
No, to be honest with you, the bass can stay. Why? Because there's nothing for it to clash with, is there? When it's rewinding, there is no drums, there is no bass. It's just the rewind, so it's fine for it to have sub bass in it.
One more time.
So what's everyone doing for New Year's Eve? Have you got plans? Are you going to a rave? Are you staying in? Also, going back to, I was telling you before about Christmas traditions in Catalonia. There's another one for New Year's Eve, and let me know what they do in your country. But here, what they do is, you know how you've got the 12 bells and it turns midnight. They shove a grape into their mouth for each bell, and essentially it just means that you're shoving 12 grapes into your mouth in quick succession, and the results are hilarious. So don't know if you've ever heard of that one, but that's what they do here at midnight on New Year's Eve. So how about in your place? What do they do for New Year's Eve? Shout out David Le Breton, thanks for joining us, man, and thanks for being a patron of the channel, and I'll catch you next week. Taking lorazepam and staying inside with Doggo. Big plans for the new year. Starting it off as you mean to go on. Shout out E.E. Wilson.
Here come the most sophisticated move. They move their shoulder every move. So second.
Right, actually, I'm going to turn up that vocal bit.
Here come the most
Maybe it just needs compressing so that I can turn it up a bit more without it like peaking over and stuff. So I'll just get the compressor. This is Sophisticated Move, by the way.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second. Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second. Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe down every move. So second.
So what I did there is basically I compressed the vocal Sophisticated Move, and you can see that the gain reduction was around 2 dB, and then on the output volume I've turned it up by 2 point something dB, so we should be able to make it slightly louder but without it peaking any louder, so it's not going to hinder us when we try to make this loud later on. And someone was saying about a mastering tutorial. I'll definitely do that in the first part of 2026. Thanks for the suggestion. Was it you, Aaron303? Thank you for the suggestion, and I'll be happy to show you my mastering process. You know, there's certain... Everybody's got strengths and weaknesses when it comes to anything, really, but also music production. And I have to say, making a master as loud as a competitively loud master is pretty difficult, and it's probably one of my weaker points as a producer, to be honest. But I did get this plugin called Masterplan, and if you've ever heard of Masterplan, or if you've never heard of Masterplan, it is a saturator, clipper, limiter, all in one, and it's just got this big one knob that you turn up and just make your tune louder. And that did make it a bit easier for me to get it competitively loud without sounding awful. Because what usually happens is you start getting distortion in the low end, like your kick starts distorting when you push it too far, you know. But I feel like with Masterplan, you can push it a bit further before you get to that territory. And for the people that don't know, there's this system called LUFS or LUFS, you know. And if you go... There is a company that give away a free LUFS meter, and it's called... What's it called now? Is it Bomb Shanker Machines? No. Oh, my mind's gone blank. What's it called? It's called the Ulean Loudness Meter. So, get your Ulean... You should download this plugin. It's completely free. Won't cost you a penny, and this will tell you how loud your track is in LUFS. So it's a measurement of loudness. Now obviously this isn't peak, you know, like if your tune is peaking at, you know, most people who put some kind of limiter on the master, their tune is peaking at just under 0 dB, right? Maybe minus 0.3 dB or whatever, you know. So we're all peaking at the same level, but not everyone's tune is as loud as each other. And the way how you can check how loud your tune is with the Ulean Loudness Meter measuring in LUFS. And this one's not going to be loud at all, but I'll just show you how the plugin works. So you've got a short term, you've got an integrated, you've got... These are your main ones that you want to look at. So just to explain, the short term is like what your tune is hitting up to right now, and the integrated is like the average for the whole tune. So what you do is you basically boost up your tune to as loud as you can without it starting to distort. And what you really want to try and do is get your integrated to either -8, -7, -6 or -5 LUFS. And obviously it's like -8 is the quietest you would ever really want to make your tune. -5 is probably the loudest you possibly could ever make your tune. Unless like you are Chase and Status and you're like passing it on to some world-renowned mastering engineer or whatever, you know. I'm sure you can push it past -5 yourself, but you're probably going to make it sound distorted and farty if you do that. But like people who are really good at this can make it sound clean and loud, you know. So I know that hasn't really given you a mastering tutorial, but I've at least showed you how you can measure your loudness and some numbers to try and aim for. Right, so let's make this slightly less boring. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the bass. Actually, it's going to be... So on the bass, I did every 4. On the 4th one, it goes up. Well, with Lush, I'm going to make it every 2nd one. So this note here, it's going to go like that. And Merry Christmas to GTA V Chronics. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, bro. Thank you for tuning in. So what I'm going to do now is just grab these 2 first MIDI clips and Command and J to join them together into one. Why? Because you've got the bit that happens in the first half, the bit that happens in the second half. So you want that to repeat, right? So I can just go... I can actually just drag it sideways. If I press this loop button here, now I can just drag this clip sideways and it will loop it. Yeah, so Ben says mastering loud begins with a good mix down, and I totally agree. And usually what I do is I put master plan, or I used to put ozone onto it and do the boosting, and you can instantly tell whether it's going to be one that you're going to have to wrestle with, or whether it's just you're instantly able to make it like -6 LUFS without really even trying that hard. And that's when you know your mix down's pretty good.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe up every move. So second, right?
And I wish I owned a copy of what's it called? There's that tool that people use for like making, if parts of the tune are masking each other, and then, oh yeah, track spacer. I wish I had something like that, but I don't. So I'm just going to do the poor man's version. So if you just go to Auto Effects and get the compressor, put that on the instruments group, and then what I'm going to do is do some side chain compression from the vocal. So whenever he's speaking, it's going to slightly duck the instruments to make him clearer.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe up every move. Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe up every move. So second, right? Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe up every move. So second, right? Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoe up every move. So second, right?
Shout out Shabba the Hut. He's asking, anyone still use camel fat? I've never used it myself, but I've heard the name thrown around for over a decade. Everyone used to love it back in the day. But I was never in a position...
One more time.
I was never in a position to buy any plugins like 10 years ago, to be honest. So I mustn't forget that I've just rearranged this a little bit and added that extra bit. when he's saying rewind, I probably should cut out a bit of the bass there as well. Alright, so this is where I probably should be coming up with some more jungly stuff for the drums, so maybe some like machine gun snares. So Ben, anyone who, before I was saying about Trackspacer and how I'm too broke to buy it, so I did the poor man's version. Well, Ben has just said there is actually a free VST called The Masker. So if you want a spectral sidechain plugin, which you can help to, which will help you to unmask certain frequencies. So my example here was when he's talking, but sorry about that. When he's talking, you've got this pad and this flute going on, right?
Here come the more sophisticated.
And what you want is for that pad and flute to sort of duck down a little bit every time he speaks. And the way how I'm doing it now is just everything's ducking. But you can get plugins which will only duck the frequency of his voice and leave everything else intact. Hope I'm explaining that well, but you can try it for free. It's a VST called The Masker. So what I want is a break that's got a nice snare, and I'm probably going to pitch it up, and then I'm just going to do some machine gun snares with it. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's go to jungle breaks. Perhaps the funky drummer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a drum rack, or should I use a sampler? I'll use the simpler, right? I'm going to get the simpler. I'm going to get the break and just drag it into that simpler like that. And then I'm just going to put the start marker to the snare like that. And now, if you arm that track and turn on your computer MIDI keyboard, you can play that snare on your keyboard at all different pitches, which is absolutely ideal for doing this machine gun snare technique. So now we've got two funky drummer tracks, and one of them can be deleted because I don't need it. And this one, I might just call it machine gun snare. So now the idea is this. I'm going to create a MIDI clip. And by the way, this track should be in the drums group, so I'll just put it in there now. And I'm going to put it underneath the other breaks. And I'm just going to create a MIDI clip like that. Now we can listen to the tune and decide where we want these snares to go. So for example, you could do stuff like this. Know what I mean? So you just mess about putting loads of extra snares in there, and then obviously it's sounding a bit loud, so it should be quieter. And then if you wanted to, you could try it higher, the whole thing higher, like this. you know, I'm just messing about to show you, but this is one thing you can do, adding a load of extra snares to your breaks. Anyway, this extra snares thing can just be for the third section. See what I mean? So you've got section 1, strictly drums and bass. Section 2 is where the pad comes back, and then halfway through it the melody comes back, so it's a bit more like full of instruments and stuff. Section 3, it goes back to strictly drum and bass, but something's changed. We've got these extra snares to make it more interesting, and they sound like this. And just to make sure there's, you know, they're supposed to just be sprinkled on top, so we get rid of all of the low end out of it. And since there's no low end, we could put some reverb on it as well. You can either throw in a whole nother break, or you can just throw in the snare of a break, you know? So anyway, anyone got any questions for me before I go? Any questions about this tune, about other tunes, about my process, about my Christmas? Nah, Christmas was good. We had a chiller. It's not been getting up to that much, you know? And it wasn't a traditional one with the turkey and everything, but we definitely ate a lot of nice food. I want to big up everyone who listens to this stream or who watches this stream every Sunday. Big up Future World Machines, Ben. Big up Jam Shahid, Aaron303, E.E. Wilson, my brother DJ Fully Loaded. I want to big up GTA V Chronics. And sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I want to big up Username. Now this guy was out in here tonight. Username 23422. And thanks for popping by. And consider changing your name to something. So, well, keep it as Username if you want. I don't mind shouting out Username. It's just that there might be someone else with the exact same name popping up. We've also got Moto, Wavy Medic, Dape Japes, David Albreton, and all the crew. Big up everyone who's locked into this stream this year, and I hope you keep coming back in 2026. We're going to be making some improvements to the sound and the video and everything, and the stream is just going to keep improving throughout next year. I plan to be here every Sunday, same time, same place. Bit by bit it's getting better. And also make sure you join the Discord server at the link in the chat, and also if you're watching this back it'll be at the link in the description.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoulder every move. So second, right?
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Alright, I've got... You know what? It's a race against the clock because I'm supposed to be going in 7 minutes, but I did want to throw in the 808. So before I was showing you a way how you can get a sample into a simpler, the quickest, all you do is Shift Command and T, Shift Control and T on Windows. Then you go to where you've got your sample. In this case, mine is in Breakbeat Paradise. Get your sample, and all you have to do is double click it and it's there in the simpler. It just makes a simpler for you. How cool is that? Alright, so race against time. 7 minutes. Is it 6 plus 6? So I'm just tuning the sample. So I thought there could be a section where instead of the respace and that, it goes to an 808 with a load of saturation on it. So let me just maybe turn up the attack a little bit. So how should it be? Alright, sorry for the dead air. Just making sure that loops properly, and then I'll just loop it like that. So I'll put it into the bass group, and I'm going to delete the sub bass and the res. We've just got our 808 for this section. Turn the bass group back on, obviously. And let's mess about with the saturation algorithm. We've got soft sine, bass shaper, medium curve, hard curve. Sinoid's a good one. To be honest, soft sine was pretty good.
Rewind one more time.
Let's put these a bit late. And I'll tell you why. Apart from it just being generally better to have a bit of swing, think about where the kick is. The kick will be on the line, right? There's going to be a kick there at bar 2, and it's going to happen here. And what we want is for the peak of the kick to happen, and then this bass note to come slightly after it, and then they won't hit at the same time. And hopefully, remember we're going on about the LUFS and having a good mix down, which is easy to blast loud. Well, one thing that's going to make it easier for you to blast your mix louder is if you don't have your bass and kick hitting at the exact same time. So one way you can do it is with side chaining and all that, but another way, if you if you feel like experimenting a bit, see how it is if you just put your notes a bit after the grid and then allow your kick to sort of peak, and then the bass comes slightly after it. And if you think about what a band does, this is, maybe it's subconscious, maybe it's on purpose, this is what a bassist does when they're playing along with a drum kit. Their bass notes come ever so slightly after the kick drum of the drum kit, and that's how they sort of coexist in the same mix. So anyway, I'm waffling. Here's the tune again from the start. Big up Wavy Medic, thank you, man.
Here come the more sophisticated move. They move their shoulder every move. So second, right?
Alright, so the pad's loud. Alright, so this bit needs work, but you've got the 808, you've got the machine gun snares, just to try and switch it up a bit. Rewind one more time. Alright, so thank you so much for sticking with me every Sunday of 2025. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I hope to see you here same time, same place next week. Remember, if you want to download the project folder and have a mess about with this project, you are going to need Ableton Live 12. But if you have Live 12 and you want to support the channel and you want to download the project, become a Patreon of patreon.com/Grace. And with that, I'm going to say Happy New Year, or, happy end of 2025. Have a great New Year's Eve, and I will see you in 2026.